Hey sickos, I'm LJ,
And I'm Tao.
and this
Is Say Psycho right now.
Say Psycho Right Now is a true crime and paranormal podcast. Some content may be considered disturbing or graphic. We don't typically provide trigger warnings due to the nature of the content we discuss. Listener discretion is advised.
We are also potty mouths. If you're not put off by that, shout out you. Buckle up and get ready for another episode of Say Psycho.
To shop brand merchandise, access our socials, or become a Patreon member with access to early episodes and bonus content, find us on any social media platforms and consult the link tree in our bio, or go to www.patreon.com/saypsycho right now.
You can also follow us on our socials or wherever you stream your podcasts and leave a 5-star review if you're enjoying our content so that we can continue to reach more people. Following us on Patreon enables us to produce more content and enables you to access more content. So we highly recommend checking that out.
Now let's get into today's episode.
Welcome back.
So glad you returned. Last week, you guys would have listened to the Jasmine Fiore episode with Astrocat as a guest host.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is just a little reminder to go give her a follow if you're a gamer girly. She's a good time.
Yeah, shout out Astrocat. Thanks for being on the pod.
Loved it so much and hope to have you back sometime, friend.
Yeah, fun times, fun times. So today we are getting into a case that made headlines a couple years ago.
It's upsetting.
Yeah,
They all
yeah, it's
are, but this one
upsetting.
really is.
I guess it's more than a couple years ago. I'm old, so I still, live in like
We do that thing where
2019.
we think that like 2002 was 2019, not actually 2002, which is like
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Well, this is from
No.
2017, so it's what, 6 years old,
Okay. It feels
I
like it shouldn't
guess.
be.
Yeah, it
Feels like that
feels.
was like last year.
Yeah, exactly. But that's when it was. It's a case from 2017, and you may have heard of it. It brought a lot of attention and it changed some legislation. And this is the case of Savannah Greywind.
God. Yeah, this one, I mean, obviously, as per usual, I haven't like reviewed your outlines or anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I have heard of this case and it's so sad.
You know what? This was sent in actually by a listener. Unfortunately, I don't think I saved that person's name.
Oh my
Uh
God. Speaking of names, drum roll, drum roll.
yeah, yeah.
Patreon shout out Shelly Spencer. Welcome to the big Patreon family. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, welcome, welcome. If you're listening to this episode, you heard our new intro, so you already know our Patreon information, but just to reiterate, we are putting out a lot of bonus content coming up. we have big plans for some bonus series. So it's going to be a party over on Patreon. So you guys should go check that out.
Yeah, and I know that not all of you guys follow us on our socials or like our social girlies or social boys or persons. So maybe just really quick, I know we already went over our socials and everything, but I think we should explain the series that we have going on our Patreon so that everybody can be on the loop on that.
Uh,
Yeah,
Really
so
quick.
basically, we're coming out with a new schedule. It's posted on our socials if you're a social media person, but because not everybody is that, like, this is a good time to just kind of drop this as a one-time thing to explain what's going on.
For sure.
First Sunday of the month, we're going to be doing a live record episode, and that live record episode will be remastered. For right now, everybody can come to the lives, but when we do grow our Patreon base up, I just full disclaimer that will be a Patreon benefit eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So, but right now it is publicly available and we will be shouting out our Patreons by name on the live episodes so you guys can tune in and interact. And then our calendar beyond that, I'm actually pulling up the picture of it myself right now so I can make sure that I get this exactly right. And tell while I'm doing that, maybe you want to pull up the name of our listener who wrote this in. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, so the thing is, I don't know if we actually have that.
Okay, I guess we're just gonna go on the record as saying that God love ya. Somebody sent in a request for this, and usually we shout people out. We've clearly screwed the
Yeah.
pooch this time.
Toe didn't do her toe job.
So, it happens sometimes. If you're the one that sent this in and you want to claim your rightful shout out, send us an angry email and we would love to be that for you. We would love to redo
Yeah.
your shout out. You deserve it.
We will redo that shout out just for you
We will because you
on an
earned it.
episode to be recorded later.
Yes, exactly. Not today
It
because
might
you
be
have
like
to.
10 episodes from now, honestly.
Yeah, because we record so far out, but we will shout you out, damn it. We will.
We will. Just let us know who you are.
Absolutely.
But without further painfulness,
Wait, no, we still need a calendar.
well, we need a calendar. Jesus
Yeah, so
Christ.
more pain for you all. Okay, so live record first Sunday of the month. Okay, perfect. That's
Okay.
going to be on Facebook or on YouTube. Check into our Facebook to find out which we'll also post on Patreon. Tuesday, the first Tuesday of the month, is going to be Off Topic Tuesday. It could be about anything. The name is self explanatory, but maybe it'll be about what's going on in our lives. Maybe it'll be, you know, just some other bonus content about crime, maybe paranormal stuff that's like on content, but not like a regular, like full episode the same way we usually do them. It could just be like different, like a different spin on our usual content. You know what I mean? It could be anything. It's whatever we want it to be. That's going to be the first and third Tuesday of the month. And then
Okay.
the second Tuesday of the month, this is Patreon only. So is Off Topic Tuesday, just to be clear. The second Tuesday of the month, we have a series starting called What the Fuck is Going On in Colorado. This is all starting in June. We have found that there's like a disproportionate amount of crime and murder happening in Colorado, and it
Yeah.
justifies a series. So,
What the fuck is going on in Colorado?
yeah, or as I like to call it in my head, WTF, egoic. It's
Okay.
like the acronym. What the fuck is going on in Colorado? I'm just like,
Well,
WTF, egoic.
I don't like that acronym.
I love it. It's so satisfying to say in my head. And then the
It's the least
last
satisfying acronym I've ever heard.
egoic. It's just a guttural sound, truly. Join us. Join us for guttural sounds. Second Tuesday of every month. Oh, and the fourth Tuesday of the month, we have a series called Following Crime, which is going to be where, because we've got followers in like so many countries now, which is wild. Like, shout out literally all of you crazy bitches. What the hell? So, since we have so many followers in so many places, we're going to do a segment called Following Crime where we do an episode for like every country and every US state slash territory where we have followers. So, we've got one coming up that we're drafting for like Australia, Sweden, Oh, I have another one that I'm working on for Alaska. Alaska, Toad's working on one for Alaska. So we've got, like,
Oh,
cr
yeah.
yeah, like, stuff just specific to these places, and so if you guys have a request and you have, like, a listener request for wherever you live, send it in. Send it in to staycyclerightnow@gmail.com, and we won't put you guys through this list of our series again until it changes. So, this is it. We won't make you sit through this every episode, but just wanna
For
let you guys know
sure.
what's going on. Now,
Yeah.
Toe, now you can get into it. Now we can
Okay.
go.
Yeah, so without any further pain or rambling,
What the fucking a wick?
I hate that. Please, please do something better.
Put that on my to-do list. Be better. Alright.
Be better at acronyms. Okay. So, Savannah Greywind was born on August 9th, 1995. She was a young indigenous woman belonging to the Spirit Lake tribe. Her father was a member of the Spirit Lake tribe, and her mother was a member of the Turtle Mountain tribe. And after living on the Turtle Mountain Reservation for some time, her family moved to the Spirit Lake Reservation when she was just 9 years old. And it was here that she graduated from high school and she went on to become a CNA. Savannah's boyfriend, Ashton Matheny, I hope I'm saying that right, was also a member of the Spirit Lake tribe, and they had known each other since middle school. Now, in 2016, Savannah, along with her family, moved to Fargo, North Dakota. And the move was said to have primarily been to provide her with more opportunity. She was the oldest of her siblings, and her family described her as hardworking and responsible. And they say that as the oldest, she always looked out for her younger siblings.
Sweet.
Super sweet. Yeah, she was described as just a really sweet girl. Everybody
Sounds
that
wholesome.
Yeah, everybody that knew her pretty much had the same thing to say, that she was very sweet, very like a good girl. Now, she lived in a small apartment on the outskirts of town with her family, and she was working steadily towards her goal of having a big house on the outskirts of town where her family could all live with enough room for horses.
That's precious.
Yeah, super precious. Now, in the summer of 2017, Savannah and Ashton were preparing to grow their family. Savannah was pregnant with a baby girl due in late September. And they also had plans to move into their own apartment together in the beginning of September. Unfortunately, that never happened.
Oh, I hate that part of the story always, where it's like,
Yeah,
this is what they were doing. They had so many good things going on to look forward to. And
yeah.
then it just like breaks my heart
Yeah,
every
things
time.
things were really going well for them, but unfortunately that never happened. So, it, Saturday, August 19th, it was started out as a day like any other. Savannah gave her siblings rides to work, and then she came home, and at around 1:23 p.m., she sent a text to her mom letting her know that she had ordered a pizza and she was heading up to a neighbor's apartment. This, as we now know, was the apartment of Brooke Cruz and William Hain.
Why does it make
Now,
me angry to know that? Like, sorry, go on.
oh, it's going to make you even angrier to know that, honestly.
No.
Now, these neighbors, they were not close at all with the Greywind family. However, Brooke had just come knocking on their door and told Savannah that she was working on a sewing project and she needed a model for the dress that she was making. And she offered Savannah $20 for the help, and she agreed. You
And of
know,
course, Savannah was so wholesome, she probably would have done it for nothing.
Well, and honestly, and it sounds like the family probably wasn't very well off. She's young, she's pregnant, they're living in a small apartment all
Mhm.
together. She's probably like 20 bucks is 20 bucks,
And it's paying for my pizza, like,
and it's paying for my
great.
pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So now this couple was well known in the apartment complex for their loud and violent fights. All
Mm.
the neighbors would hear them arguing regularly, and the police were called to the property at least once that we know of, where charges were actually filed.
So not your, like, go knock on the door, like, "Can I borrow an egg?" neighbor situation.
Neighbor. No,
Yeah.
definitely does not seem to be that. Now, During this particular incident, that we know of, where authorities were called to the complex, it said that William threw Brooke into the bathtub and was charged with assault, and a no contact order was put in place, but ultimately not followed.
Of course not.
It never is. It never is.
No.
So now they both actually did have children from previous relationships. Brooke had, wait for it, 7 children.
That is a small bundle.
That is a small bundle, and William had 2. Now, it is said that neither of them really had anything to do with these kids, and both had faced some legal troubles for not paying child support. William also had a previous conviction of child neglect and abuse.
So he was a real, like, upstanding dude.
Yeah, we've
Is what
got
I'm
a couple
gathering.
of winners here. Now, Savannah was said to always be very responsive and in constant communication with the people in her life.
I was thinking that too because, the fact that she texted her mom and she's like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. Like, I'm going to go. Like, I just got a pizza and now I'm going upstairs." She seems to be a girl who's like very in touch with the people in her life.
Yeah. Yeah, and she was. So that, and her family, as the story goes on, that's kind of a theme. Her family really advocates for her, but, unfortunately, it, there was really no amount of advocating that could have saved her in this
Mm-hmm.
case. So as the afternoon goes on and her family's texting her and they're not getting a response, this is obviously very concerning.
Right.
When her family did arrive home, they noted that her wallet was inside, her car was still parked outside, and the pizza she had ordered was sitting on the counter cold and untouched.
That's never a good sign.
That's never a good sign. Now, and mind you, she's like 8 months pregnant. Around 4 p.m., her family began to head out and look for her. So, again, just keeping up with the timeline here, around 1:23 p.m. is when she sent the text letting her mom know that she was going up to the neighbors, and by 4 p.m. they were out searching for her. So, her family's taking this very seriously.
Yeah, and I'm sure, like, and this is coming from a place of just like thinking about if you have a family member who's heavily pregnant and they're not responding, you're probably thinking like, do I need to be calling hospitals? Is she in labor? Has she
Yeah, I mean, she could have
fallen? Yeah.
could she like, I don't know, passed out due to freaking like preeclampsia or
Preeclampsia.
something.
Yeah, or like
Yeah, I
undiagnosed
mean,
gestational diabetes. Like what
undiagnosed. Yeah,
placenta previa, could some bleeding have happened? You know what I mean? Anything could happen.
anything could
Anything could
happen,
happen.
and you're at that stage of pregnancy where sometimes, unfortunately, those things tend to happen in that in those final months. So they're obviously very concerned. And they know that Savannah loved her life and she wouldn't have just gotten up and left, especially without her
Sure.
car and her wallet. Like,
Right.
how far would she have gotten? So, again, around 4 p.m., they began to head out and look for her. So, each member of her family, so from my understanding, each member of her family separately walks up to Brooke and William's apartment looking for Savannah, and they are all told the same story that, hey, she left. We don't know where she went, but she left.
Sure.
Now, around 4:30 p.m., her family contacts Fargo police to report her missing. Officer Samuel Bowman was the first to arrive at the Greywind residence that day. The
Hmm.
family explains to him the situation and how out of character this is for Savannah, and he proceeds to go up to the apartment of Brooke and William and knock on the door himself. And it was almost as if they were waiting for him. As soon as he knocks on the door, it flings open, and there are Brooke and William. Now they
Both just like
claim,
ready to go.
ready to go. They claim once again that Savannah left around 2 p.m. They actually did agree to let this officer actually search their apartment, and he did walk inside and take a look around. And he determined that nothing looked suspicious, and he left, filed the missing persons report, and that was that. Now, Savannah's family, however, they were not buying this, and they knew something wasn't right. So that night, about 20 to 25 extended family members gathered there at the apartment complex to try and help figure out what the hell is going on. Now, around 10 p.m., the police were called again to the apartment complex. And when they arrived, the family pleaded with them, please do something. This isn't right. Do a second search. Please do something.
Right.
And they did another search of the apartment, and police once again determined that there was nothing there. And they told the family, look, there's nothing there. She's not in there. Now, the following day, police once again returned to the apartment complex. And once again, with Brooke and William's permission, searched their apartment and found nothing. Savannah's family continued to beg and plead with the police to do something, but police maintained that there was no signs of foul play. Now, as we know, Savannah is an indigenous young woman, and she has ties to two different tribes. Members of both of these tribes showed up by the hundreds to help search for her.
I love that. I mean, I know that this
Yeah.
might sound strange, but like that's beautiful.
It's
Like to
beautiful.
have
Yeah,
so
it's
many
beautiful,
people.
but it's also a shame that it has to be that way because,
Absolutely. And that's what I mean. Like it sounds strange. I don't mean like it's beautiful that it happened, but like it's
yeah, I mean,
beautiful to
have that
be
sense of
that type of
community.
person.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. Now, the police were not doing any active searches at this time.
Which is like why? Why?
Exactly. You've got a pregnant young woman out there missing.
Do your cop job.
You're doing nothing. And when we get further on in the story, you're going to see how badly the cops fumbled this search is giving like honestly, it's giving worse than Elizabeth Smart,
Oh my God.
which we all remember that case and how bad the cops fumbled that. Yeah, no.
Yeah, time
Just
and time
wait.
again.
Just wait, honey. Oh, just wait. So, yeah, they're not doing any active searches. Now, on August 23rd, 4 days after Savannah disappeared, police brought William in for a formal interview. William told police that on the day of her disappearance, he had been working and that he got off sometime around 2 to 2:30 p.m. He said when he arrived home, Savannah was there in his apartment. He claims that he walked in from work, he saw Savannah sitting on his couch. Brooke introduced them and he went to take a shower. He said that he heard them talking while he was in the shower, but he wasn't sure what about. He went on to say that that when he got out of the shower, Savannah had left.
Hmm.
William maintained that he hadn't seen Savannah after that, and he wasn't sure where she went. Police did find this to be something, they found something to be a little bit off about William's story, so they decided to go and speak to some of his coworkers.
Well, can I just chime in for a second? Because the
Sure.
first thing that sounded off to me about this, and this is coming from somebody who, like, I know that in your position, you kind of make your own hours with your job, right?
Sure.
As somebody who works like a 9 to 5 type job, right? Or just
Mhm.
like a job where you have to punch in, punch out. It's strange to me that he's like, "Well, there's this 30-minute window that, like, maybe I got off at 2, maybe I got off at 2:30." No, you're watching that
Mm,
clock all day, counting the minute to when your ass gets to go home.
yeah.
There's no 30-minute window about it. Like, you would know when you got off, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, and every job's different, but and I mean, it's definitely possible. I think you would know.
Yeah, I mean, and even if, like, just as somebody who's, like, in a relationship, or, like, has a friend, like, what's the first thing I do every day when I get off work because we live up each other's buttholes?
Oh my
I
god, yeah, you
call
call me
you.
and I know my phone's
Yeah,
going to be ringing by like 5:04.
exactly, and if it's not ringing by 5:04, then either somebody else called me first or something is wrong,
Yeah.
like, period. But point being that I feel like that's something that, like, even if you weren't looking at the clock as diligently as I do, I guess, like, wouldn't you most likely have, like, texted a partner or, like,
Yeah, I mean
done something on your
there
phone
would be
that's
something.
traceable? Yeah, like some
There would be
type of
something.
timestamp.
And
Yeah,
I feel like also shame on the police for not investigating that more.
yeah, I agree, 'cause
Although
I
I
just
guess I guess technically they did because they went to speak to his coworkers. So
Okay, well, yeah, valid. I just think like a 30-minute window for when you got off work, I'm like, I'm questioning it, you know?
yeah, that's valid. That's a valid question. So police went to speak to his coworkers, and alarms were raised immediately because Williams' coworkers state that in the subsequent days following August 19th, 2017, which is the day that Savannah disappeared,
Mhm.
he had spoken quite a bit about having a newborn baby at home.
Oh, no, I hate it.
Yeah. He told them that Brooke had a baby and that they named the baby Phoenix. Now, this was particularly peculiar to police because not only because the missing woman in question was 8 months pregnant, but because they had searched this apartment now 3 times and there were no signs of a baby, no
I was
crib.
about to say.
Yeah, there was no crib, no baby stuff, no crying, and no baby.
Yeah,
I mean,
like I have questions.
no questions. Now, sometime either late at night on August 23rd or early in the morning August 24th, we're not sure exactly which, but Brooke and William ended up being involved in a hit and run accident which happened near a local Walmart. Now, as police would investigate this accident, they traced this hit and run back to William, who was there at the Walmart with his girlfriend Brooke, buying what else but newborn diapers.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now, this coupled with the statements about this mystery baby from William's coworkers prompted police to get a no-knock warrant.
Yeah.
And they arrived at the apartment, kicked down the door, and there was Brooke with a newborn baby. Now, the baby was thankfully healthy. However, she was, of course, taken to the hospital and subsequently placed with social services. And
Yeah, I bet.
And now, the most heartbreaking thing about this part of the story is that remember, Savannah's family lived in this apartment building. So,
Right.
as one can imagine, surely they would have noticed all the commotion. They're kicking down doors. And
Sure.
they had to watch as this baby was carried out, knowing this was most likely Savannah's baby.
So heartbreaking, but from a legal standpoint,
S-
I can understand that you would need to, like, DNA test or
Yeah,
something to
they
confirm. You can't just be,
unfortunately
like,
they
handing
can't just
babies
give her
out.
over. Yeah.
Right.
And they had to wonder if this is her baby, where is she? What happened to
Right.
Savannah? And
Oh,
again,
bless their little beans, that hurts my heart.
because they had to wait on proof that this was in fact Savannah's baby, they weren't able to hold her, they weren't able to see
Mhm.
her, nothing. Now, also at this point, Brooke is of course arrested and brought in for questioning, and believe it or not, she actually admits that the baby is Savannah's. But the
But I'm
story,
sure she has some, yeah, I was gonna say, I'm
oh,
sure she has a story.
she has a story, all right, and it's a crock of bullshit. So she claims that Savannah had come to her saying that she was very unhappy with her life and that she didn't want the baby. She states that she told her how to induce labor and break her own water, which remember, Brooke has had 7 children.
Right.
So she taught her how to induce labor and break her own water with a shish kebab stick.
Get
And that
out of here.
Savannah then went about her way. She goes on to claim that Savannah came back 2 days later on the morning of the 21st and is like, hey, I had the baby. Here you go. You can have her.
And this never came up to law enforcement before during searches, etcetera. For what purpose? Just because they're, like, ultra concerned with their strange neighbor's privacy? That's their story and they're sticking with it?
Yeah, well, we're gonna get to that.
Okay, great.
Now, police, of course, aren't buying this crock of bullshit, and they let Brooke know that they've searched her electronics and found that for quite some time she's been researching how to deliver a baby at home and how to kill a pregnant woman without killing the baby.
Monster.
Absolutely. So Brooke goes on to claim that other people had access to her devices and it wasn't her that searched those
Oh, that's
things.
purely coincidental. Sorry. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't contain my rage. Go on.
Yeah. Now, next, the cops head on over to William's job and pick him up, and they confront him with all the information that we have so far, and they ask him straight up, whose baby is this? And he says, quote, I can't tell you for sure. Now,
What?
Yeah.
Sorry. It's just like, what?
Now, the story that William goes on to tell it's bizarre. He claims that he arrived home from work on the 19th and Brooke is just like, "Here's our baby."
And he just accepts this as fact
Yeah.
and truth. Like, okay, well, I guess it is our
S-
baby.
So claims that there was just this baby and there was blood. Sorry. So he claims that there was just this baby and that there was blood all over the floor and that Brooke had told him months before that she was pregnant, but that he wasn't expected to he never expected to come home and there be a baby. He mentions cleaning up a lot of blood, but he doesn't mention anything about Savannah being anywhere in the apartment. Now, he also goes on to say that the baby had been in the apartment every time the police searched and that they had placed her under blankets on the bed.
Which that doesn't seem questionable at all. Like,
Yeah,
what?
that's
Why?
where police fumbled the shit out of this. Like,
Ridiculous.
you didn't move the blankets on the bed?
You didn't I don't know. It's just like I feel like if you're searching for
You didn't
potentially what
open
would be maybe a body.
you didn't open drawers, you didn't open cabinets.
Mhm. Like,
Yeah.
just seems like maybe we should have done the minimum.
Yeah, exactly. So now the search for Savannah continues, and meanwhile, DNA confirms that this is her baby, and the reality of what's going on starts to sink in for the family.
So is the baby returned to the family? Can we do we
Eventually,
okay.
yes. She is given, I believe, joint custody was awarded to both her father and Savannah's mother,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken. I think inevitably full custody was given to the father. Now, volunteers then found a breast pump and a pool of blood in an area near a river, but Savannah was nowhere to be found. And finally, on August 27th, a group of kayakers in Minnesota who were out on the Red River, which is the same river where they found the breast pump and the blood, just in like a
Right.
whole different state,
Mhm.
reported that they saw a large plastic wrapped object floating in the water, and that as they drew closer, the smell gave away that this was, in fact, a body.
Hmm.
And of course, they contacted authorities as one would do, but evidently the current was super strong this day, and it took crews hours to be able to retrieve this body. But when they finally did, they opened the plastic and realized that this was in fact Savannah Greywind.
So sad.
She was found with a rope around her neck and her stomach cut open, and her body was transported to the medical examiner's office for an autopsy while people gathered outside to pray and perform tribal rituals in her honor, and they wore ribbons in her favorite color, green. Now, Brooke and William were charged with conspiracy to commit murder and kidnapping. Brooke was first to go on trial, and she did actually plead guilty on December 11th, 2017. And she goes on to confess that she faked this entire pregnancy to try and keep her man around. And she used old pregnancy tests and ultrasound photos. And she goes on to say that sometime in early August, this lie fell apart. And William was kind of like, dude, I know you're not pregnant, and I've already told people, and you better produce a baby.
Oh my god.
And then yeah. So
They all suck.
yeah. I mean, I want to kind of give the benefit of the doubt and say maybe he just said that out of anger and she took it too far, but
Right.
because he was complacent in this whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like if he went along with the whole thing after, you know what I mean? Like,
After
oh,
that, yeah.
yeah.
So Brooke confessed that on the 19th of August 2017, after she lured Savannah into her apartment, she started a bogus argument with her, accusing her of nonsense, like stealing her mail, and then pushed Savannah, who hit her head on the bathroom sink and fell to the floor unconscious. Brooke immediately grabbed a knife and cut Savannah's baby out of her.
Mm.
Now, contrary to what William told police, Brooke goes on to say that when he arrived home, Savannah was there in the apartment, and William asked if she was dead, to which she replied, quote, "I don't know, please help me," end quote.
Oh my god.
Now, at this point, William grabs a rope and pulls it tightly across her neck and states, quote, "If she wasn't dead before, she is now," end quote.
No soul. No
None
soul.
whatsoever. Now, at this point, they wrap Savannah up in towels, in plastic bags, and stuff her in the bathroom closet. Brooke admits that her body was in fact inside the apartment during the first two searches, and it came out later that we found we found out that a member of the Greywind family had actually lived in their specific apartment and explicitly told police to check this closet.
If you could see the gasp I gasped when you said that her body was in there the first 2 times they searched,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, and I guess this closet was like a secret hidey hole in this apartment. Again, the family member had lived
right.
there and specifically told police to check there.
And again, can we do the bare minimum? No, we can't. We
No.
can't do that. That's asking too much.
So we learned that William later put her body in a dresser to haul her down to the river. They were unable to determine the exact cause of death because she was cut open, and then she
Mhm.
probably either bled out or got really close to bleeding out and then was strangled. So
There was a lot going on,
there was a lot going
unfortunately.
on. There was no evidence of head trauma. Murder charges were dropped for William because Brooke took the fall, and he was charged with kidnapping. One of the questions that was brought up in the trial was, could the C-section, the crude, like, I use that term very loosely, could this
Obviously, yeah.
crude at home C-section have been done by one person? I guess they were using the example of, if you look at how a C-section is done in a hospital, you have a whole team of people. Okay, great. Well, uh, that's part of the reason why she bled out, because not
Right.
only did nobody have a fucking medical degree, but there was nobody, there was not enough people there to keep that from happening.
Right.
So I don't know, I think it could have been done by one person.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously not a doctor, but I would say in a situation like this, you're literally just removing the baby with no regard for safety or welfare of mama. Yeah, probably. Like, probably could
Yeah.
be a one-person job because you're literally just doing the act of removing, not
Yeah, you're not doing anything to save mom or keep
exactly.
keep mom
So,
alive. So
unfortunate.
ultimately, they were both sentenced to life in prison. However, unfortunately, William's sentence was overturned by the Supreme Court, and he was resentenced to 20 years in prison.
Should have
Um,
gotten longer.
yeah, I think this was another case. I'm sorry, what case was that? I think it was Kelsey Barrett, where the judge was like, "Fuck you! I don't care what deal you worked out with the DA. I'm going to give you one hell of a
Mhm.
sentence because you suck."
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, they appealed it and got it overturned. The judge tried to do a great judge job, and unfortunately, they took it higher. So, sweet Hazley Joe, who is Savannah's daughter, went on to live with her father and her grandparents. And her father did have to put up a little bit of fight, but eventually with the state, but eventually he did get custody of her. And I
It's
believe
sad that
this,
he had to put up a fight at all.
yeah, yeah, I agree. And
Like, they should have just been like, "Here, you go."
so Hazley Joe is thriving, I'm pleased to report. And there's actually an official Facebook page. It's the Savannah LaFontaine Greywind official page. And on there, you can see pictures of little Hazley
Mm,
growing up. So sweet. So, there's the tiniest little happy ending here. But, you know, this little girl will forever have to live with, you know, uh,
just the general knowledge of what
just the
happened to her
general knowledge of
mama.
what
Yeah,
happened to her mom. And she may be too young to know or understand it now, but eventually she's gonna figure it out. And
that would be such a hard thing to learn as a kiddo.
it's a terrible case, terrible case. But that's all I have for this case today. So, LJ,
God, gonna go cry about it.
yeah,
All right, guys.
don't do a
Well,
feeling.
I know. Hate feelings, but here we are. The baby
Yeah.
cases get me. Which I know that, like, the
Yeah.
baby lived, but, just as a mom, this situation just, like, oh, it guts me. But, thank you guys for listening, and I know we've got some other cases coming up. Let me see, I'm just pulling out the calendar here. Unless, Toad, do you happen to know what's up next?
Oh, you sure know I don't.
She said, literally, never.
Literally
Never.
never.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, so the next one after this will be the Sarah Boone suitcase murders, actually,
Oh, which we recorded
which
live with
we
Richard.
did. Richard LaRocco, he is a medium out of Pennsylvania. He's fantastic and just genuinely such a good person. So, yeah, you guys will get the remastered version of that live episode. And yeah, that's going to be a good one. Then we've got bonus content coming up as per usual. So, lots of good stuff coming up. You guys should check it out. Consider becoming Patreons. It's, lowest tier is $3. That's like less than a Starbucks. So, just consider it. You guys get a lot of bonus content and it would help us continue to grow. And in the meantime, we'll catch you guys on the flip side on the next episode.
Toodaloo.
Bye.
Oh no! Did we perform a fuckaroni?